You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Today's presentation of college basketball is brought to you by AdvoCare. And from Lake Buena Vista, Florida, it's game one of the AdvoCare Invitational. Alabama and number 23 Xavier to tip it off in a moment. An excellent field is assembled next to Disney World these next 4 days, including Wichita State, Iowa, and Notre Dame. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We welcome you to the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex. Dave O'Brien alongside Miles, Simon, and Miles. Xavier gets scoring from a lot of different people, led by Trevon Bluiett and 6'10" Jalen Reynolds.
These are two of the best forwards coming back to the Big East Conference this year. Trevon Bluiett is having a breakout sophomore season, leading the team in scoring at 14 points per game. He does it inside and out as he shoots 48% from behind the arc. And Jalen Reynolds is a monster down low, 10 points per game, 8 rebounds. He can give the Crimson Tide a lot of trouble in the paint.
Xavier also a very, very good shooting team. Alabama trying to build themselves up under Avery Johnson, first-year head coach. He says that his model for a college program, of course he had a lot of success in the NBA, is Billy Donovan in Florida.
And I think that's a great example to follow. Obviously, when Billy Donovan took over in the late 90s at Florida, Steve Spurrier already had that school as a powerhouse, as does Nick Saban at Alabama. And it's proof that you can build what is a so-called football school into also a basketball program.
And Chris Mack has it rolling at Xavier, his alma mater, a 1992 Xavier grad. So about to get it started. Xavier in the white, the home team here for game one. And this tournament is underway. Great to have you with us here on this Thanksgiving. Xavier off to a 4-0 start with a victory already over top 25 Michigan. That was on November 20th. Foul speed along the baseline, knocked away from Reynolds and out of play.
And when you watch this Xavier team on the offensive end of the floor, you see they go a 4 out, 1 in. They're really going to work the ball to Jalen Reynolds on the inside. Trevon Bluiett will be able to post up, also shoot threes, and they're going to look for a lot of dribble penetration.
They swing it here for Sumner, the freshman, who they're very, very high on out of Detroit. He can really play. Miles Davis draws the foul. Davis, the New Jersey native with the name, if not the same spelling, of the Jazz legend. And the first foul goes against Arthur Edwards of Alabama. The Crimson Tide coming in 2-1, bit undersized and a bit young. So we'll see if they can hang in, particularly on the glass with the Musketeers, who are very, very good rebounding the basketball. Blew it around the back, takes a bump, heaves it up there, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Well, here's a problem already for Avery Johnson in the first possession here. 2 fouls have been called against his Crimson Tide team. The point of emphasis that he made the most in practice yesterday was keeping Xavier out of the paint. Already there's been 3 dribble drives to the paint.
That was during one of the 23 hours we believe that Avery is actually awake in the course of 24 hours. I'm not sure he sleeps. I don't know where they plug him in, but it's energy times 10.
Oh, and it's totally infectious throughout the program, the players, the coaches. The positivity that he was exuding yesterday during practice was tremendous.
Well, it'll go the other way here as Lamont Simpson has a call on the baseline. And the foul will go against Jalen Reynolds, we are being told. Or maybe just a shot clock situation here is why he blew the whistle. Chris Mack getting an explanation from John Hughes. So it will be a shot clock violation. Entry pass inside for the stuff, and Jimmy Taylor at 6'10", the junior, knows what to do with it.
Great opening action right there with the little cross screen. The Xavier defender gets held up, and the easy pass and the post entry and finish.
Abel up top, the Indiana transfer. We're being told on the previous possession by Xavier they had the shot clock at 35 instead of the new rule, which is at 30. So not everyone is squared away yet on the new rules.
It's early in the season, still working out the kinks.
Even for the shot clock operator. So Alabama on top 2-1. Alabama with their keys to victory here in the first half, and obviously they have to crash the glass. Edwards long range, but can't cash in with that 3-point attempt. And here come the Musketeers, off to a 4-0 start. Last year led the Big East in field goal percentage, knocked away, and a steal by Ingram. He's the freshman out of Madison, Alabama. This is what they want to do. They want to get it and go. They want to score 100 points a game if they can.
Avery Johnson has been wanting to play up-tempo with this team right away. They want to get a shot within the first 5 to 6 seconds of the shot clock. There you see the turnover leads to the offense and the transition opportunity and the easy finish for Hale.
Reynolds swings here for Sumner. On the baseline, Abel turns to fire and can't knock it down. The rebound batted to the Crimson Tide. Xavier, by the way, one of 8 AP top 25 opponents that Alabama will play. The entry feed deep inside the lane to his left. Nicely done there, but in and out by Jimmy Taylor. He's an outstanding shot blocker, the big junior. Abel driving in hard, and a blocking foul in the lane will go against Alabama.
Can you see the keys for Xavier today? They got to really defend the three-point shot. Alabama is a team that attempts a ton of threes per game. They hit against Louisiana last game, hit 15 of them. And then they also have to take away the transition game of this Crimson Tide team, who's going to try to score within the first 5 to 7 seconds of the shot clock.
Alabama shooting 39% beyond the three-point line in the early going. The foul went against Shannon Hale to put Abel to the line. The senior who had 15 and some clutch threes in their victory against Michigan. Transfer from Indiana. He's actually reached the Sweet 16 the last 3 years he's been on the court. 2 times with the Hoosiers, and then last season with Xavier. Xavier seems to get there every year. They've been to the Sweet 16 5 times in 8 seasons. Ingram looking inside has one of the most, I think you'd have to say, talked about haircuts in all of college basketball.
I would say unique is another word.
Taylor lost the handle on. Shot clock down to 7. Edwards short rims it from 3, and it's tipped out of play. It'll go back over to the Musketeers. Avery Johnson with his keys to today's game.
Thanks, Dave. The keys to victory today against a really good Xavier basketball team is, number 1, we got to stop them from getting in the paint. Number 2, we got to be in the stance. We got to be in the right position. We can't get caught out of position today. On offense, it's all about the it factor. Pass it, drive it, or shoot it. We can't hold it. Number 4, it's about rebounding. We got to win the rebounding game. Physicality is going to be a big part of that. If we make a mistake today, it's on to the next play. We got to have positive thoughts. Back to you, Dave and Miles.
Avery, thank you very much. He lays it all out there. Former San Antonio Spurs all-time assist leader. Of course, he was an NBA Coach of the Year as well with Dallas.
Yeah, 7 years in the NBA. He also, at Southern University, led the NCAA in assists his 2 years that he played there.
Down the lane, Ingram to the left hand. The follow is up and in by Shannon Hale.
Well, speaking of positive thoughts, one of the things that he had on his board there, this is a positive start for the Crimson Tide, getting out to the early lead, 6.2. The defense, 6-2. The defense has been excellent.
Jimmy Taylor just got his fingertips on the shot by Abel. The jump shot from the wing will be around and out by Obasahan, and a whistle underneath. Stops the clock at 16:05 to go here in the first half with a 6-2 Alabama lead. Sumner with the foul for Xavier. And Abel will go to the bench for Chris Mack. Kind of a soft start for the Musketeers, certainly offensively for a team that shoots it so well. They're 0 for 4 to start it off. And some more size coming on now for Alabama. Dante Hall, a 6'9 freshman, was rated by some recruiting services as the #1 prospect in all of Alabama as a high school senior. Hale handing off for Ingram. Shannon Hale right before the game seemed to be cramping up. He had to leave some of their warm-up drills for a while.
Yeah, he was over there taking a bunch of fluid. He was getting his calf worked on there by the trainer, but he seems to be playing well and moving well.
Edwards back. Obasahan lets fly. Tipped up and in by Hall, who makes an immediate impact.
Yeah, and right now Alabama's just the more active team on both ends of the floor. Aggressive on the defensive end there with the offensive putback by Dante Hall.
So Davis will set it up now for Xavier. They get Cincinnati coming up on December 12. Of course, their big rivalry game. Long one for Sumner. A lot of iron, but it'll be grabbed away by Shannon Hale.
And I don't love that shot by Sumner. The ball never went inside the arc. They want more dribble penetration than kickouts to a three-point shot.
Alabama with a 9-3 advantage on the boards and another whistle. That was with 16 on the shot clock. The last tip in by Alabama has the Tide rolling.
The freshman Dante Hall flying in out of nowhere, giving the Crimson Tide the lead early.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by AdvoCare. We build champions. And Gildan. Every thread counts.
Now back in warm and sunny Florida here on Feast Week. We welcome you back to Lake Buena Vista, the AdvoCare Invitational. Game 1 of this tournament. Alabama out in front on Xavier. Dave O'Brien and Miles Simon with you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and to you as well, partner. It seems like Alabama has heard their coach about getting to the glass here early on.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of this Alabama team has been their rebounding throughout the early part of the season, and it's been a strength for Xavier. But so far, a 9-3 advantage for Alabama, and it seems to me they just want it a little bit more. Their bodies are a little bit more active. They're seeking out the basketball, and Xavier is not putting a body on anybody.
If you played for Avery, you'd wake up ready to go too. He'd make sure you did. And this is an early start. I mean, a noon tip-off for both of these teams. Certainly would be a lot earlier for Southern Cal. For USC, they're playing a little bit later today. In fact, right after this one.
Yeah, and I don't think that really has too much of a bearing on either of these teams, obviously, because of the time zones that they live in. They're usually up and ready and going to class, and maybe have gotten a weight workout in or already a shooting workout in if they were on a day back on their campus. But there you see another mistake by the Musketeers, a missed block out on the free throw.
Red Nobasahan, 6'2" junior, such a key guy for Alabama's attack, averaging 14 a game. Ingram trying to get in close. Nice dish in heavy traffic to kick back out for Edwards. His three doesn't touch anything. Davis slicing inside, and it goes out of play, tipped out by Alabama. And the Crimson Tide will go to their bench and bring on Riley Norris. Another three-point threat. Well, the Tide has to be very, very pleased with their start here. A 9-2 lead over the number 23 team in the country. And a really good team in Xavier. Here's J.P. Macura, 6'5" sophomore, getting into the fray. Straight on is Davis. Off the back of the iron. The shot's just not falling here early on for the Musketeers. Norris in from the corner, but the three-pointer is off the top of the backboard and out of play.
And that's a good look for the Crimson Tide. That's, even though Norris has just come off the bench, he's one of their better three-point shooters, 3 for 5 on the season. They got the early transition opportunity, a drive and a kick to a wide-open corner three. He just didn't knock it down.
Alabama won 19 games last season. That was enough for an NIT bid, not enough to save the job of Anthony Grant. He was fired, getting Alabama into the NCAA tournament just once in 6 years. Macura off target. A second effort. Davis. And it's tipped away and out of play by Alabama with 13:56 to go in the half. And Justin Coleman to come in now for the Crimson Tide. Avery Johnson with a very active bench. Getting a lot of people in here in the first few minutes.
Well, Coleman's a guy that can be a big-time spark plug for this team. Had 18 points in his last game out against Louisiana Lafayette. Hit 2 threes, had 8 assists.
Larry Austin Jr. here, the sophomore, running the point. Bluiett has been quiet so far, but starting to get a little noisy.
Tough. Just a one-on-one move, got the ball at the elbow, created a little bit of space with the step back against Alabama's best defender in Obasahan.
Xavier just 1 for 8 here so far today from the field. Norris getting a look in. He's a coach's son. He was Bama's outstanding freshman last year. The airborne pass here. Obasahan. Dribble inside. That's an offensive foul. He went crashing in and committed the personal.
And that was a great job by J.P. Macura, just holding his ground right there as Obasahan thought he had a gap in the driving lane to the rim. Macura comes off the help, holds his ground, takes it straight to the chest. Good call by the official.
Obasahan with his second foul, so he has to step aside.
And that could be big for Alabama. He's their leading scorer. He's their most vocal guy. He's their toughest player. 14 points per game, shooting 50% from the three.
And they're most fluent. He speaks 4 languages. He came over and greeted us in 4 different languages yesterday. Very impressive. Macura way downtown and nothing but net on the three-pointer.
Even though J.P. Macura comes off the bench, he is an energy guy, a glue guy for this team. Third leading scorer at about 11 points per game.
And that's in only about 23 minutes per contest, so he is instant offense. Norris to the baseline with a tough drive. Knocked away. Here come the Musketeers. Austin Jr. right down the lane and a foul. He's fouled in the paint. So Xavier grabbing momentum here and suddenly turning it. The battle for Atlantis is coming up. Paradise Island, Bahamas, Texas, Syracuse, UConn, Michigan, Charlotte, Texas A&M, Washington, and Gonzaga. Terrific field there.
It really is. Texas A&M has a nice win last night against in-state rival Texas Longhorns. The Zags, we know, have Final Four potential and possibly one of the best front lines in the country. And then how about the old Big East going to go at it there? UConn and Syracuse.
Right.
Daniel Hamilton had a huge game for the Huskies last night, a near triple-double.
It's been a couple of years since they've met. Isn't that amazing? Syracuse and UConn, the games that they have played, some of the all-time great games in the history of college basketball.
I like the energy level that the guys off the bench, Farr, Austin, and Macura, have really brought to the game for the Musketeers. Has kind of changed it around here in the first half.
Off the side of that window by Hale, and you wonder if that cramping issue is really starting to affect him now. He got some treatment for that. Got a bit of a massage. Davis off the fake and just fired it out of play. That was a sloppy pass.
Not a good look, and I would like to see them get Jalen Reynolds back involved in this basketball game, especially right now. There's 16 fouls on Alabama. Somebody for the Musketeers needs to recognize that, especially with the way the officials are calling the games now, a little bit tighter. Try to get the ball inside, continue to pound Alabama, and try to get them in foul trouble.
So Alabama's lead cut down to 1 here in the first half. Game number 1 of the AdvoCare Invitational in Lake Buena Vista, Florida.
If I'm Alabama right now, I'm trying to look to Jimmy Taylor, get him a touch inside.
Well, here he is on cue, spinning to the baseline. He got to the iron. Kessens follows for 2.
Good footwork by Jimmy Taylor, just couldn't finish. Kessens there able to clean it up.
Austin outside the 3.
Austin doesn't look to score much. With this lineup in the game, it's got to be Macura or Reynolds.
Here's Farr on the low block. He's a 6'10 senior to his left. The stuff won't fall either. Reynolds was right there on the iron, right on the rim, but couldn't get it to go. Norris looking inside, trying to free up Kessens. He's a big at 6'9". And now Justin Coleman will set it up. Coming up a really good game against Louisiana. 18 points, 8 assists. That was not LSU. Way downtown. That doesn't touch anything, and out it goes.
And J.P. Macura coming through the screen, gets his feet set, knocked down 3. Xavier right back in it.
When you run Disney, every mile is magic. Event weekends racing through the Disney theme parks are waiting for you at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, Disneyland Resort in California, and Disneyland Paris. For more information, visit rundisney.com. And there you go. That's a lot of running around and around the castle many times. Alabama has had a lot of second chance points already, 6 of them. Not hitting their 3-pointers, but they are hitting in close and crashing the glass well.
Yeah, you thought that Xavier might be the team that would be dominating the paint. But right now, it's Alabama getting all their points on the inside.
Alabama, the 3-point advantage with 11:07 to go. I've already had 19 players enter this game in the first 9 minutes.
Well, both teams, I think for both coaches, that's a good thing. Try to get those guys involved in the game, get a little sweat going so they can get some of the nerves out.
Farr traveling with it. James Farr, the big senior, commits the 3rd turnover for the Musketeers. He's averaging a double-double, 10 and 10.
Well, Farr is getting to play more of his natural position this year. He's had to play a lot of the 4 spot the last couple of years because Matt Stainbrook has been around and was a staple for this team. But Farr gets to move Reynolds over to the power forward and gets to play the 5 spot.
Baseline drive, very tough angle there by Austin. He can't connect. So some lockdown D by Xavier on the baseline, and now a reach in and a foul stops the clock at 10:37 here in the first half. You saw Kansas last night win in Maui of a very good Vanderbilt team. What were your thoughts about Kansas?
I thought Kansas, the thing that really stood out in that game was the defense that they played. Their rotations were sharp. They really had great help side defense against a team that can score the ball at a high level and from all over the floor in the Vanderbilt Commodores. And now that they're going to get Sheck Diallo back, Kansas is going to be a team, obviously, that can contend for the national title.
No, they did not have him available for Maui, but he will be available for their next game in Lawrence. That's a big story for Kansas and for Bill Self. Although in the end, they did not need him to win Maui. Austin launches the three-pointer. Rebound torn away by Farr. Farr had 14 in the victory over Missouri, 14 rebounds, and followed up with 13 against Michigan. Xavier turns it over. Coleman on the attack and stuffed in by Austin. They run the break very well.
Great job by Justin Coleman jetting up the floor. Brandon Austin just running with him. Brandon Austin had only played 19 minutes in their 3 games total. And they're getting the fast break opportunity and the strong finish.
He's a freshman. Get the idea under Avery Johnson that here in these early games, if you show you can play, it doesn't matter if you're a senior or a freshman, you're going to get minutes.
Yeah, he's going to go with the guys that can help the team win. Nice dribble penetration there.
Austin Jr. with a 3. Left it way short. But one thing we have seen, and he's on the line, Farr will turn it over, is a lot of air balls here in the first few minutes.
Yeah, there you see the air ball right there. Justin Coleman, the point guard, coming down, has his head up, draws all 3 defenders, and Brandon Austin stays with the play, and the beautiful dish by Coleman for the nice finish by Brandon Austin.
Xavier just 1 out of 7 from three-point territory. Alabama's 0 for 9.
Now Xavier switches to a little 1-3-1 zone defense.
Norris feeds Coleman, trying to penetrate. Tough sledding there. Norris beyond the three-point line, too strong. Rebound picked up by Kessens. And another effort, but thrown away right into the hands of Remy Abel. And now he'll get hit on that sideline, and it's knocked free, no foul, but knocked out of play by Alabama. Xavier again advancing to the Sweet 16 last year, 5th time in 8 years. They're one of just 9 schools to do that. The Musketeers have gone to the NCAA tournament 9 of the last 10 years. Alabama trying to get there, getting back to the NCAA tournament after going to the NIT last year. Chris Mack enjoying a lot of success at his alma mater. Now, before he started coaching at Xavier, before he became the head coach, he started Cincinnati's St. Xavier High School, so he was always destined to be at Xavier. There's a good player too, Reynolds, with a follow away, but it won't drop for him.
Now for Xavier, it's too many jumpers. It's jumper after jumper after jumper, and I know they haven't made their free throws at a high level yet this game, but they got to somehow keep getting to the paint. And Jalen Reynolds is not the guy that you want out there, you know, shooting 20-foot jump shots.
He's 6'10". This game has to be inside, and he picks up a foul.
And he's coming out of the game.
It'll be his first, but he's not happy. So Alabama to check it in here. On top 13-8, and they turn it over, could not get it in 5 seconds. 5-second violation on the Crimson Tide. That'll be their 3rd turnover.
But right now, the biggest question for the Musketeers, where are they going to find some offense? Bluiett hasn't been able to find any type of rhythm. Edmund Sumner right here, the point guard, number 4. He's their 2nd leading scorer. It's been a majority of the half on the bench.
Bounce feed, Macura in close for 2. That was a well-run play.
Nice play by Sumner. Took his time on the pick and roll, delivered a perfect pocket pass to the diving O'Mara.
You know, for Xavier, finding offense is never a problem. Typically, they have 6 men as Alabama throws it away. 6 men averaging 10 points or more per game.
And here you go, Edmund Sumner, 6'6" point guard from Country Day High School in Detroit, Michigan. Draws Jimmy Taylor, who's O'Mara's defender. Taylor's kind of caught no man's land on the help. And then the perfect pocket pass. And I love O'Mara going off 2 feet and strong to the rim.
Sumner to penetrate. O'Mara down low, lost it for a moment. Gets it deep into the corner, back up top for Sumner. Shot clock down to 8. Tough drive. Swatted out of the sky by Taylor. O'Mara gets it back. That's blocked from behind, but a foul on Edwards. So Arthur Edwards with the personal. Back at Wide World of Sports in just a moment on a beautiful Thanksgiving in Florida.
Alabama Crimson Tide here in the first half is doing most of their damage in the paint. There you see the nice entry pass to Jimmy Taylor. Now the dive from Taylor to Ingram, and then the offensive rebound finished by Hale. And then again, crashing the offensive boards. They've been so active here in the first half, and it's been numerous guys, Dave, for the Crimson Tide, and I think Coach Xavier Johnson's going to be happy with that, especially their start and the lead here 12.5 minutes into the game.
Getting good minutes out of Ingram, but also bigs like Taylor, who's 6'10", and Kesson, 6'9", and Hall, who is 6'9", so the size guys doing good work. O'Mara will be at the line here, the 6'10" sophomore out of Illinois for Xavier, and missing on the first one.
That's O'Mara's just first free throw attempt of the season. Only averaging about 4 minutes per game. But right now, giving Jalen Reynolds a spell.
Back rim the second one. And another big rebound for Taylor, who's a strong offensive or defensive player at 6'10", out of Greensboro, Alabama. And a traveling violation, so they give it right back over to the Musketeers. That'll be their 5th turnover.
The unfortunate thing for Alabama, they've been good on the defensive end. Xavier's been missing shots, missing free throws, but Alabama hasn't really been able to stretch this lead out to 5, 7, 8 points. They've had some turnovers, a lot of missed shots, and they haven't been able to solve this 1-3-1 zone yet. They got to get some guys some spacing, drive, and maybe hit some open shots in the corners.
Just a 3-point lead for the Crimson Tide, even though Xavier is 3 for 9 from 3-point distance. That foul will go the other way. That'll go against O'Mara. Friday night, the fate of the Big 12 still up in the air. College football presented by Jimmy John's, 7:30, Baylor and TCU. The Bears still holding out hope for a conference title. And Saturday night at 8 Eastern on ABC, it's Bedlam, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. Ingram, and he's going to be double dribbling there as he gives it away.
And see right there, you got to get the ball to the second side of the floor. Ingram playing the point guard spot right now. The ball came up the left side, went to the corner, and then he tried to make a play where the defense is already set on that side. Skip it once or twice, make the zone shift, and then attack.
Xavier is averaging 81 points a game. They only have 10 points as we start to get late into the first half. So a very, very cold start for the Musketeers, who just might be the favorite to win this tournament given the injuries to Wichita State at this point, and their backcourt in particular. Driving heavy traffic by Sumner with 6 seconds on the shot clock as that one is tipped away.
And see, Sumner, that should have just been a one dribble pull-up to about 10 or 12 feet right there. He goes into too much traffic. And now with a low shot clock, let's see if they can get a good shot. Nice pass.
Oh, and a quick one, a quick strike.
Arthur Edwards has his back turned to the ball, and a great dime there by Edmund Sumner.
Reach and foul by Macura. Stops the clock at 6:18.
And you see Arthur Edwards right there. He's just not looking at the ball. You have to have some vision on where the ball's coming in. He's trying to anticipate a screen or J.P. Macura coming off for a shot. And that's good eye contact between Macura and Sumner.
Now the Bama offense is stalled here, at least momentarily.
Now that it's swung a couple times, now you want to try to get in the gap, penetrate and kick.
Pass over the top here for Edwards, and now a steal. Macura with a little bump, swatted away, but he'll be at the line. With 5:58 to go.
The 1-3-1 has been the best thing Xavier's done in this half. Once they've gone to that zone, the Alabama offense has really stalled. They haven't got the looks that they've wanted. But now it's up to the Musketeers to try to convert on the offensive end.
Well, they've not been doing it at the line. It made just 3 out of 9. Edwards picked up his 3rd foul for Alabama. 6'6" graduate out of New Mexico. The transfer from New Mexico will go to the bench. And Macura, who continues to be instant offense, knocks down the foul shot to tie the game at 13.
Well, in the first 2 games for the Musketeers, he had 17 points and 16 points in the second game. But the last couple, he's really struggled from the field. He's trying to find his rhythm. He was 3 for 13 from the field in their last 2 outings.
So this to give the Musketeers the lead. And he nails that. Their first lead since it was 1-0 in the opening minute. So let's see if this signifies a momentum swing here for Xavier. They're up by 1.
Now when you look at this zone, there's great length at every position right now. Bluiett on the wing, Sumner at 6'6", Macura at the top at 6'5", 6'6", and now McKinday London patrolling the baseline.
Ball into the corner. Jumper. Rebounded away by the Musketeers. The game that's gotten sloppy, 6 turnovers, no points in the last 4 minutes. Long range and off target. London with a miss, but up and no good by Reynolds, but he'll draw the foul. Jalen Reynolds to the line, where he's a pretty decent foul shooter at 77%. And if this game does become a foul shooting contest in the final minutes, Xavier has a big advantage there.
Yeah, they're 10th in the nation right now at 80%, and they're strong 1 through 5. Every guy on this team is an excellent foul shooter.
Dante Hall with a foul. Reynolds, the junior from Detroit, the preseason Big East first-team pick.
I asked Coach Chris Mack at practice yesterday to describe Jalen Reynolds. First word that came out of his mouth was monster. And this is a guy who has a 7'5" wingspan at 6'10". And we talked to their strength and conditioning coach because they have a big time. They replicate the NBA combine. And Jalen Reynolds, 25 reps at 185 pounds. And that's not easy for a guy with long arms. But you know how strong and athletic this young man is.
I'm not sure that's easy for a guy with short arms.
I thought that's what you were pushing up in the weight room yesterday.
That's what I'm throwing around routinely. Obasaha with a bounce into the corner. He's wide open and swishes in a 3.
And that's going to be the sweet spot right there. If you can get into the gap at the top of the zone from the wing and then be able to kick it to the corner, that'll be a strength against this zone defense.
Alabama's first 3-point make. They're 1 for 11 so far today. So that one puts them in the lead by 1. Sumner penetrates, jumping into that lane. Macura has it beyond the 3-point line.
Spacing's bad. They got to go.
Sumner got hit on the head, and this is an official timeout. John Hughes calling for a timeout here. And Sumner feeling for the back of that head. He went down after delivering the pass right in front of one of our camera guys.
Well, here's Sumner with the drive. Dante Hall coming over to help and make the block shot.
And a timeout. Xavier will take a timeout here with 4.5 minutes to go before halftime. And Chris Mack knows that he has his hands full with the Crimson Tide today. Alabama by 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Well, 4.5 to go here in the first half, and Xavier and Alabama both starting to wake up a little bit on the offensive end. Only 4 on the shot clock here. The Wooden Legacy from Anaheim, California, still to come today at 4 o'clock at ESPNU. Michigan State ranked number 3, coming up at 6:30. It'll be later on this evening. Arizona's also in there. Big smile from Miles there, ranked number 11.
One of the best games of the day is going to be that UC Irvine-Boise State game. Both teams went to the NCAA tournament last year. Boise State with Anthony Dremick and an excellent wing in James Webb. And then 7'6" Mamadou Njai.
Macura had to pop it up with the shot clock expiring. The follow, now the tip. Reynolds tying up with Shannon Hale, and it spins out of play here with 4:20 to go. And so Xavier will have possession. Big battle for the rebound. Xavier coming in, ranked number 23 in the nation. Bluiett on the attack and draws the foul before the shot attempt.
I think that's going to be the 3rd foul on Obasahan.
He's had a rough first half and a key man for the Crimson Tide, averaging 14 a game. He's just picked up his 3rd.
Avery Johnson looking over at the official, telling him that he was moving his feet, was showing his hands. But the official felt differently, felt there was a lot of body contact, and Bluiett able to knock down the free throw.
Obasahan heading to the bench. He's the Alabama captain. So Bluiett, sophomore from Indianapolis, connects. Xavier by a point.
And they stay with the zone.
And Ingram will walk it up. Here's Coleman coming up an 18-point game last time out against Louisiana. Ingram to his right. It won't drop. Rebound snatched away by Reynolds.
See, I think Reynolds can get those outlets out a little bit quicker to Miles Davis.
Davis blocked from behind. Nice clean play by Ingram. He read that one beautifully as the trailer, 3:53 left.
Great drive right there, and then Dazon Ingram not giving up on the play. One of the best athletes on this Crimson Tide team.
One of 5 newcomers for Coach Avery Johnson. Here's Bluiett averaging 14 points, 9.5 rebounds. His fall away won't drop. Ingram wants to push the tempo. This is the new Crimson Tide. Oh, big block. Macura. Davis. Entry fee for London.
What a play end-to-end by McKinday London. You rarely see that, a block on a lob that was probably going to be dunked home by Dante Hall. Then London gets rewarded on the other end, playing 94 feet.
Xavier up by 3. Ingram gives up the dribble. Reynolds all over him. 9 to shoot now for Alabama. Coleman. Wild feed into the corner. Hale lifts, but it's short. Here's the feed up ahead for Macura. Can't spin it in, but he'll draw the foul. And that's going to be an intentional foul there. No effort to play defense, just to deny there with the intentional foul by Ingram.
But watch this play by London. Look at the block. Dante Hall is going to lay that in, and he pins it on the glass. And then London doesn't give up on the play. The extra pass, Miles Davis rewards the big fella for running, and he gets the finish. And now the intentional foul by Dazon Ingram as he comes down across the shoulder of J.P. Macura.
Good call. Pretty obvious. So Macura at the line, he hits 88%.
But it's amazing how quickly the momentum can shift in a game off of 1 or 2 plays. London makes that play at the rim. You think you're going to have an easy lay-in if you're the Alabama Crimson Tide and Dante Hall. Instead, it turns into a big swing in the Musketeers' favor.
Also get the ball, of course. It's a flagrant 1. That is a play made, a foul which is made. Not a legitimate attempt to play the ball. So 2 shots and the ball. 2:56 remaining in the half. And Xavier has turned on this one now, leading 21-16.
And right now, if I'm Xavier, I want to attack right away.
That's a travel on London. That's the only misstep he's had since coming in.
So now where does the answer come from Alabama? They've been solid on the defensive end, but they have to find a way to be able to crack this zone, because Xavier, their energy level, the way that they are moving on the defensive end, much improved from the first 10 minutes of the game.
Cross court for Norris. Nearly turned it over. That's a kickball with 2:36 to go. Coming up, our Land Rover halftime report. Chris Hassel, Jay Williams, and Seth Greenberg will preview the seasons of Alabama and Xavier, plus a preview of the games later today, including Wichita State USC, which we'll have for you. Coleman, long distance, but off the right side of the iron, and Davis is there for the rebound.
Love that outlet pass.
And Macura lays it in. What a quick strike.
All created by Miles Davis, throwing a 40-foot cross-court chest pass to start the break as Xavier's running the floor, and it ends up in an easy finish.
The Musketeers have sprung to life. Their fans love it. A 15-3 run for Xavier.
1700.
Well, look at this outlet pass created by the point guard, Miles Davis. The outlet pass to Bluiett. The ball doesn't hit the floor. sides one time, and then the easy finish for J.P. Macura.
And the Musketeers, with their offense starting to get into a pretty nice groove. And they have grabbed the lead 23-16. Shepard deep into the corner, and Coleman will knock it down. Man, did they need that.
Yeah, the two spots that they've hit the threes from have been that right corner when they've gotten a little bit of dribble penetration.
London with a three. Yes! Boy, he has been a big-time spark. McKinday London, the freshman from Nashville.
You know what? And you got to give credit to this young man coming in ready to play. Here's a guy that's only played in 3 of their 4 games, only played 10 minutes total of action, and had only attempted 1 shot on the season. But when your number is called, that's a credit to him, just staying ready and being dialed in and focused in practices for when his number's called.
Would you say Xavier is the favorite to win this tournament?
And Notre Dame's very good. Iowa's good. Dayton, it's a very tough field. You would say Wichita State is obviously depleted. I don't think they'll have Van Vliet today, so that makes a difference in this team. But I do like the Musketeers as the favorite.
Hale with the turnover on travel with 1:39 to go. That's a good field. And as you point out, a number of teams could win it.
5 of the 8 teams went to the NCAA tournament last year.
Sumner looking inside. Shot clock down to 12 now for the Musketeers.
Sumner's got to deliver that ball. Reynolds had Taylor on his back.
Lenore's playing good defense, and it's off the foot of Bluiett. And out of play off Xavier. They've turned it over 7 times.
I mean, Jalen Reynolds has Jimmy Taylor buried at the block, and Sumner has to be able to deliver that ball to that 7'5" wingspan.
Ingram with the dish, but traveling before the basket.
And I don't know if that was a travel. It looked like a quick 2-step. Sometimes when things look a little bit awkward, the officials can get fooled by that. But I think Dazon Ingram made a nice play right there.
Yep, he was saying the same thing to John Hughes. I didn't travel. So coming up on the last minute of our first quarterfinal. Our first day here at the AdvoCare. Game number 1. Davis turns to fire the 3, and it's around and out. Alabama to push the tempo. Quick step, Ingram. Oh, they got right by everybody for the stuff.
What a play by the freshman. Dazon Ingram pushing in transition. He's a big physical guard. He's 6'5", 205 pounds, and obviously very athletic.
All they saw was that stylish haircut going right by everybody. 26-21. Davis with another 3. Looked good coming off his hand, but he can't bury it. Alabama with a chance to cut in right before halftime. It was intended for Hale, knocked around, picked back up by Ingram.
Bring it out. You want to get the last shot of the half.
Ingram, quick dish into the corner. Hale again, and lost it on the dribble right on the baseline.
Big mistake by the Alabama team right there. And
a timeout with 11 seconds to go. It's actually going to be a foul on the play. So 11 seconds before halftime, and a 5-point lead for Xavier. And Sumner will march to the other end.
But if you're Alabama right there, a huge mistake. You have some momentum. You can get the last shot of the half. You play too quick. Avery Johnson was trying to get their attention. Another missed free throw by the Musketeers, though, one of the best in the country. This is unlike their team. And then you end up committing a foul.
And they're just 10 out of 18 from the foul line. So this could be a whole lot worse for Alabama if Xavier were hitting their shots the way they can from the foul line. Alabama's just 1 for 2 at the line. He makes that one to make it 27-21. Justin Coleman. And that one tipped out of play with 4.2 to go. Macura and London off the bench have made a big difference. They've combined to score 16 points. Here's Hale. Got it, a 3-pointer. Just before time expires in the first half, he finishes up with 10 points. There was question about whether he would even play after cramping up before the game. Macura off the bench, though, with 10 points. 3 for 5, a big lift there. So we are at halftime, and Xavier surging at the end to grab the lead. After these messages, back with an update from the Land Rover Halftime Report. You're watching the AdvoCare Invitational, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Roll Tide on 3. 1, 2, 3. Roll Tide.
Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do.
From the shadow of the Magic Kingdom, we welcome you back to the AdvoCare first half. Here's a look at the numbers. Neither team, Miles, has shot the ball very impressively.
No, neither team has done that, and I would expect Xavier, who is a very good offensive team, to probably change that around here in the second half. They've been awful from the free throw line as well as the field. The starters for the Musketeers go 1 for 17 in the first half.
You get Trevon Bluiett for a very quick foul, just 8 seconds into the second half. So that goes against Xavier in the paint. That'll be number 2 on one of the Musketeer stars. So Ingram to put it in from the baseline. Obasahan in foul trouble for Alabama. This is a key story because he has 3 personals. The senior from Belgium. He has 1 less foul than languages he speaks. Reynolds yanks away the loose ball, and here come the Musketeers. Davis won't wait. A long distance 3 around and out. And they got a lot of really good looks on shots just like that in the first half, but did not hit them.
Yeah, and that was a wide open look there for Davis. He just can't find the rhythm here in this game.
Edwards on the entry pass, and they get the foul on Alabama. And that'll go against Shannon Hale. 1 assist, 3 turnovers for the junior, who averages 11 points a game. That'll be his second. Choppy start for both sides inside the first minute. Underway here in the second half, game 1 of this tournament, which will run through the championship game on Sunday. The swing here for Bluiett. Yes, he'll connect from three-point land.
Nice little pick and pop action there between Sumner and Bluiett. Bluiett kind of slips the screen out to the wing. Sumner delivers it right on time and on target.
He can be very dangerous out there. He came into today 10 for 21 beyond the three-point line. So very good shooter.
Obasahan needs to get involved on the offensive end for the Crimson Tide.
Been very quiet. Hale off the front rim. Not there for him. And Davis into the offensive end now for the 4-0 Xavier Musketeers. We expect to have a very big year. Here's Bluiett again. Short this time. Alabama got up an excellent start on the glass in the first half. Xavier statistically eventually overtook them, but that allowed the Crimson Tide to hang in early. On the spin, Taylor, and it'll roll in.
I like that from Taylor. That's something he's really been working on, is back to the basket game this offseason, and especially being able to be a better finisher with his weak hand.
Ingram poked that away, and he'll get it on the other end. Oh, some style. It's not just the hairdo.
No, I like that. A good defense on one end, and Dazon Ingram with the 360. You don't see that often pulled out for an in-game dunk.
No, you don't. So a 2-point lead for Xavier. We've got Wichita State and USC still to come in our second game here from the AdvoCare Invitational. Davis, and knocked away. Taylor real active on the defensive end. Back to the 360.
Well, there you see the quick hands. Ingram right there. And then the little throw ahead. And then Dazon Ingram with the sweet 360. I like that.
So the dunk of the day so far, certainly from Lake Buena Vista. That one comes free, a loose ball, and scooped up. But the shot clock will expire. Shot clock violation.
The Musketeers, once again, they're looking lost on the offensive end right now. Reynolds coming out of the game, Farr coming in. They might need to go back to J.P. Macura very quickly in this half. He was kind of the only offensive spark or light or positive thing that the Musketeers had in the first half.
At 11 points, he's on the bench at the moment. We asked Chris Mack yesterday at their workout, what do you think of your team? He said, I'll tell you Sunday. Not so sure yet. Off the side of the iron by Edwards. 1 and done for Alabama. And he's 0 for 4 from three-point land. Bluiett on the baseline. Davis for 3. Yes!
Great baseline drive, baseline drift action. Miles Davis right where he's supposed to be.
And turned over again here by the Crimson Tide. They want to strike again. Bluiett. Yes, a 3. Well, that didn't take long.
Well, that's caused by a poor entry pass by Dazon Ingram. He comes down the floor. The defense is already set. He tries to throw it over the top into Jimmy Taylor, but that was just a bad angle to try to post entry, and it cost him 3 points at the other end.
Xavier by 8. Obasahan lifts, and that's short. And all the energy now is certainly on the Musketeers' end. This is their largest lead of the afternoon. Hard drive by Davis. The kick again for the corner. Well, that's worked twice already, but Sumner can't get it to go. Ingram around the back twice.
Slow it up.
He lost it. Got knocked to the deck, and that's kicked out of play by Alabama. 13 turnovers now for the Crimson Tide.
And the Musketeers finally finding their stroke in the second half. The extra pass, the beautiful drive, too much help defense, and Davis knocks down the 3. Musketeers up 8.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Welcome you back here to the AdvoCare Invitational. Not far from Disney World, and Xavier has opened up a 36-28 lead, and still to come, Wichita State to take on USC at 2 o'clock. Notre Dame and Monmouth later on. That's at 6:30 with Rich Hollenberg and Tim Welsh. And then Iowa and Dayton tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN2. It should be a terrific basketball game. Great to have you with us. Happy Thanksgiving. Dave O'Brien alongside Miles Simon.
You see Alabama now going 2-3 zone for the first time.
Short jumper by Bluiett. Trying to get his shot in the air. Free ball. He's going to lay it up and in. So a turnover, another sloppy effort by the Crimson Tide.
Well, I like the fact that Bluiett and Macura stayed right there, got the trap on the smaller. Coleman had active hands, get the deflection, leads to the basket.
Alabama in need of a hot hand. Obasahan lost the dribble. Shot clock at 15 for the Tide. They need to get him going. Hale way outside. Swings here for Coleman. Shot clock down to 5. Coleman took a look at it. Here's Hale's three-pointer. Around and out. They're just not falling here for Alabama.
Well, the offense wasn't good right there from the start. Obasahan picked up his dribble too soon off the pick and roll on the side, and then they didn't get anything inside the arc until Coleman's last couple dribbles.
Now you're sensing a veteran presence, too, with Xavier. Got guys who've been around a little while. The feed underneath to the big fella far, and tied up on a play and knocked away.
Xavier right now looking much more comfortable on the offensive end. Against this zone defense area, maybe put Bluiett in the high post area where he can be a scorer and a passer, then be able to kick out.
Swished in from Davis by the three-point line. And those three-pointers really starting to fall now for Xavier.
The 4th three-point make of the half for the Musketeers.
And now lead at 41-28.
And it's funny how, you know, when you get your offense going, then the defense is much more energized. Look how they're moving their feet on the defensive end, active hands, they're talking, they're rotating.
Coleman's 3. In and out. So nothing falling now for the Tide, and everything falling for Xavier. Very tight first half, and now it opens up for the number 23 team in the country. Macura with a catch and fire, but that glances off the iron. A 3 that didn't go for a change. Obasahan in traffic. Bounces out for Coleman. Obasahan airborne, harassed, and didn't touch anything.
Smart play by Austin. Didn't have the numbers, slow it up. Now they get a get a better look.
Macura with a great feed there for Farr to lay it in.
But I love what Larry Austin did. He didn't try to force the action, just played smart.
Highly intelligent play, didn't force the turnover. It's a 13-0 run for Xavier the last 3.5 minutes, and their offense is clicking.
The Musketeers out and running in the second half. J.P. Macura, the beautiful dime, and Farr with the finish.
Xavier's come out of that locker room in the second half, Miles, firing up threes.
Well, the thing I like most about all of these three-point shots that you see, and they've knocked down 4 of them, they're all assisted. They haven't been playing one-on-one basketball. Chris Mack talked to us yesterday about who their go-to guy was, and it's the open man. And that's what they've continued to do here in the second half. All wide-open three-point shots, and now they're in rhythm, knocked down 4 of them, and have extended this halftime lead out to a big 15 points.
They didn't show it very much in the first half, but Xavier is a team of good shooters. They led the Big East in field goal shooting last year.
And now they're a team that, on the defensive end, going back to their 1-3-1 zone, which gave the Crimson Tide a lot of problems in the first half.
Basahan trying to muscle in close, draws the foul. Trying to get back in it here. Now Alabama feeling it's slipping away. Foul will go against Jalen Reynolds. And that'll be his second. A big junior from Detroit. Outstanding in their win against Michigan. It was a homecoming for the Detroit native. He had 15 points and 9 rebounds. Basahan at the line, 71%.
Dave, we got a chance to talk to Retno Basahan after practice yesterday, and we asked him what's the things that he loved about Avery Johnson, and he said he's an A-lister. He's a 5-star person. He said from the first time he met him, the aura, the spirit, and the positivity that Coach Johnson exuded is what really attracted him and the rest of these Alabama players and the future recruits to come play for the Crimson Tide.
Austin knocks it out of play on the press. Avery, the San Antonio Spurs all-time assist leader, took Dallas to the NBA Finals in 2006. He was Coach of the Year as well in the NBA. Won an NBA championship as a player in San Antonio in '99. So he'll get your attention.
Yeah, and the thing that I think all the players are going to respect, they know that he played in the league for 16 years, but his path to get there was hard. Played at Southern University.
Macura open underneath. Reynolds will clean that up with the stuff. As the pass was batted away, now it's up to 15.
Had to go to the minor leagues. He's not drafted. Just had to work his way up, and that's what he can tell these players. No path is necessarily going to be easy to get to where they want to be, not only in basketball, but in life. And he can give them a lot of great lessons.
Austin's jumper won't hit the mark. And now it's the Musketeers who want to push the tempo. That's certainly something Alabama's trying to do, to change their style of play completely from more of a plodding team, a slow-paced team a year ago, last several years. And they want to get it and score it as quickly as they can. Off the screen, Bluiett's jumper. And a whistle and a foul will go against Xavier. With 12:18 to play, that'll go against Reynolds.
Too much standing on that offensive possession. Chris Mack's telling his guys, get the ball moving, get your feet moving, make some cuts to the basket.
Third foul on Jalen Reynolds. But Xavier in front comfortably here by 15. Last time down, Alabama scored for the first time in about 5 minutes.
Now that's a bad shot by Coleman. And the reason why is Coleman's a very poor three-point shooter, and he's only shot in his 20% range.
Deflected away, stolen by Alabama. Basahan, and now the nice follow by Brandon Austin. He got airborne.
The second dunk today for Brandon Austin. Might be earning some more minutes for Coach Johnson with the energy and that he's bringing off the bench.
He's looking for those kind of players. Austin back out for Davis, who's gotten hot beyond the three-point line. Reynolds with a hook. Yes.
That's a positive for the Musketeers. Jalen Reynolds been struggling from the offensive end so far in this game, and there he gets the one-on-one, takes advantage of it. A couple back-down dribbles and a beautiful jump hook.
He has 5. Basahan bouncing for Coleman. Norris with a corner jumper. Can't nail the triple. Tipped out of play by Alabama.
What a nice fundamental block out there by Miles Davis, getting the big fella on his back.
So Xavier on top, 47-32. You know where the players are heading as soon as it's done. It's gorgeous outside. At the moment, 11 minutes to go. Xavier in the lead, and Wichita State and USC are coming up next on ESPN2. There are a lot of Shocker fans already in attendance. Looks like they're doing some scouting here, and a big performance expected out of Ron Baker, the outstanding guard for the Shockers, because they're going to really need him.
Yeah, a big load's going to fall on his shoulders for this whole tournament, because Fred VanVleet, the star All-American point guard, will be out with a hamstring injury. Baker, I think, moves over to the point guard spot, and he's going to have a tough matchup because one of the more underrated point guards in this tournament, Jordan McLaughlin, for the USC Trojans, averaging 20 points per game, shooting the ball at a high clip from the three-point line, is going to give the Wichita State Shockers all they can handle.
Baker averages 20 himself. A marvelous career, and a foul here in the backcourt with exactly 11 minutes to go against Justin Coleman of Alabama, number 2. The Shockers have built some program. 30 wins again last year. Alabama made a run at their head coach.
Yeah, they did. They had the plane sitting there in Wichita.
A lot of people have made a run at Coach Marshall. A foul inside the lane. 47-32 Xavier. London going in hard. He really had an impressive, pretty short run in the first half, but very impressive.
Yeah, McKinday London really came off the bench and provided a spark. And I mentioned it in the first half. You know, some guys, when they've been on the end of the bench for the early part of the season, can even check out early in the year. He had only played 10 minutes total, played in only 3 of the 4 games, but he came in when his number was called and Coach Mack needed him. Got a couple stops on the defensive end, knocked down a shot, got a block shot, and now it's providing him more minutes here in the second half.
48-32. This is the largest lead for Xavier. So Alabama's showing they have a long way to go yet to adapt to the style that Avery Johnson wants them to play, to be able to maintain it. Even though they got off to a nice start today. Foul before the shot here as Obasahan, who's really trying to get something going with some energy, draws the foul by Remy Abel.
Yeah, Obasahan saddled with the early fouls, picked up 2 early, did a third late in the first half. He's their leading scorer, 14 points per game. But right now he's just sitting on 2. He's made 2 free throws, hasn't made a shot from the field.
Alabama is practicing their everyday practices with a 20-second shot clock to get them conditioned to the idea of running and scoring as much as possible. Ingram using the window. That rolls away.
I still like what I've seen from Ingram tonight. He's going to be an excellent player for the Crimson Tide. I think he can play both guard spots. He's obviously very athletic. He can set the tone on the defensive end.
He just committed the foul on the hip. Dazon Ingram with his third. Well, he does have the best dunk of the day.
By far.
At 360.
Now, he came into the game with a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Today, he struggled because the talent level has gone up with playing the Musketeers, and he does have 6 turnovers, but it's something that he'll really learn from, and playing for a veteran, former point guard, Avery Johnson. I'm sure he'll show him the film tonight and what he can do better.
High expectations for Xavier once again this season. Back up top for Bluiett, shot clock at 15. He's been a hot hand in the second half. Reynolds wants to fire it up and hits.
Good patience. I love what Reynolds did. He handled the double team. That hasn't been a strength of his over his career. Kicked it back out. Bluiett attacked. Found Reynolds again on the little pop, and he knocks down the 15-footer.
Reynolds came in averaging 11 points, 8 rebounds on the same kind of pace. Hale beyond the 3. Ingram there to spear it, and a second effort now for the Tide. Obasahan backing into the lane, and he's shoved from behind. And a foul will go against Edmund Sumner, the 6'6" freshman, his second. Now the coaches, a lot of them will tell you, the head coaches, that these early season tournaments in a format like this, where you'll play maybe even a couple of days in a row, and then you'll have a day off, and then you may play the final day. Very mindful of an NCAA tournament kind of feel. They love these tournaments.
Yeah, even that, and even conference tournament type of feel. Because usually in your conference terms, you have to play, depending on where you finish, 3 days in a row. Got to win 3 games in a row. I was fortunate enough when I played in the preseason NIT. So when we got to New York, we had to play 2 games in 3 days. And then I also played in the Maui Invitational, which is even a little bit tougher in this one because it's 3 games in 3 days.
Can be absolutely grueling. Kansas won it last night. If you missed that, Norris picks up the loose ball. Ingram off to Hale. On the baseline, keeps on going, and he is denied, and he turns it over.
But what I think makes it like the NCAA tournament feel is the different teams that you see, that you're obviously not going to see in your conference. You get some high-level play, different styles of play.
Of course, you played for Arizona. You guys were always playing big games and top-tier opponents all the time. The whole season must have felt like that.
Yeah, it really did.
Reynolds went down hard and banged the back of his head as he was knocked to the floor. Appears to be all right. He'll go to the line. 77% foul shooter. Last year when Xavier faced and beat Alabama, Reynolds dunked the ball 5 times on the Crimson Tide, so they're trying to make sure he's nowhere near the iron.
Jalen Reynolds, young man you mentioned from Detroit, Michigan. Played his high school ball at Brewster Academy. Brewster Academy, a national powerhouse on the prep circuit. Have produced guys like T.J. Warren, Samaje Christian, who played for Xavier, Mitch McGarry, Jakar Sampson, Devontae Graham, point guard for Kansas now. Great head coach there, Jason Smith.
Reynolds will go to the bench, and the lead expands to 51-32 Xavier. Nine minutes to go in this one.
The biggest problem for Alabama early on in this game, they had opportunities when Xavier was ice cold from the field in the first half to try to expand the lead. They just couldn't get it more than 3 or 5 points.
Ingram with the bucket there. Just their second field goal, Miles, in about the last 8.5 minutes.
And that's kind of an NBA set that Avery Johnson brought right there. You don't see your point guards in college posting up too much, but Ingram at 6'5" can do that against smaller guards.
Up top for Macura. Really a fine first half. 11 points off the bench. What a weapon he is for the Musketeers. Shot clock down to 5. Abel slithering in. Blocked from behind by Edwards, and it's out of play with 3 on the shot clock. So Xavier will have to go quickly here.
Watch for a little quick hitter to Macura or far.
Sumner in for Macura. Open. Yes! A weapon indeed.
That's just a little screen the screener action. You put one of your best shooters to screen the big guy that got to help around the basket. And Macura with the pure stroke from the 3.
Well, he had 17 off the bench in their win over Miami of Ohio, 16 against Missouri. I mean, he is a game changer. Now 54-34. Xavier with their biggest lead of the day. Step back shot by Edwards, and he'll knock down a 3.
Arthur Edwards can really be a positive for this team. He's a graduate transfer from New Mexico, doing the thing that he specializes in, knocking down the 3 right there.
But Alabama's made just 4 of 24 beyond the arc today. Sumner, just a freshman, a very, very high on. Slamming on the brakes there. And that's going to be an offensive foul on Remy Abel. 7:21 to go here. All Xavier in the second half of this first quarterfinal. ESPN's Wide World of Sports. So much activity here virtually any day of the year. All sports. Remember last year, Dick Vitale, who'll be with us on the weekend, brought his grandkids here. He had one of his grandkids playing in a Little League tournament and another playing in a soccer tournament on the very same day here at Wide World of Sports. And of course, the Atlanta Braves have spring training here as well. And they're gorgeous diamond. This guy has made the difference. J.P. Macura has come off the bench to light it up here for the Xavier Musketeers.
Well, he really turned around the game in the first half. He had 11 points in the half. Sparked it on the defensive end at the top of that 1-3-1 zone that gave Alabama so many problems. And when Xavier couldn't get any offense going, he was able to get some buckets in transition. Just his energy is pretty much infectious anytime he's on the floor.
Ingram tried to wrap that pass, but knocked out of bounds by Xavier. 54-37. Coming up next, Wichita State ranked number 20, taking on USC. USC's 4-0.
Yeah, and they've had some blowout victories. They're scoring at a high level. Andy Enfield has recruited some more talent, especially hitting in the LA area.
Ingram back to Hale, baseline. Great defense there by Farr to strip him. 16 turnovers for Alabama. Sumner with a baseline, and yes, eventually up and in by James Farr. Went for the dunk, left it on the iron, but it fell in.
Beautiful execution by Sumner on the pick and roll. He's done that a couple times tonight.
And Farr doing it on both ends of the floor.
Sumner, just a redshirt freshman here, but look at the patience. He hesitates, he draws the defender. Jimmy Taylor caught in no man's land again. Farr just barely, we call those little fingertip dunks or lay-ins. But I love the pass from Sumner and the patience on the pick and roll.
Sumner was Michigan's Gatorade Player of the Year candidate. He has started every game, won a state title, scored 1,000 points in high school. They think he could be a star.
Yeah, played at a very famous high school, Detroit Country Day, home of Chris Webber, Shane Battier, and Steve Ballmer.
McKinday London, another freshman from Nashville, going to the bench for Chris Mack. Their bench has been the biggest star of the day, you'd have to say, for Xavier.
It really has. They provided that spark, that offensive spark mostly, and then also some energy on the defensive end when the starters weren't getting it done. Remember, the Xavier starters were 1 for 17 from the field in the first half.
Entry for Reynolds, but it spins out of his hands and out of play. And tonight, after our Thanksgiving college football matchup, feast on today's top plays. Sports Center at night. Jay Harris and Kenny Mayne have you covered with all the action from the day. Save room for the highlights. Sports Center at night tonight on ESPN. Mid-range jumper will be off target. Bassan thought he got fouled on the play, thought he got hit. And not a lot going Alabama's way here with 6 minutes to go in game 1 from the AdvoCare Invitational. Able to transfer from Indiana. Here's Reynolds. Farr swings it back, and Sumner's traveling with it. That's 14 times they've turned it over. Now, both teams have played a lot of guys. First half we saw 20 men enter the fray, 10 on each side. A tournament like this very early on gives a coach a chance to find out how deep he can go.
Well, I think the fact also that if you can get so many of those guys in early that you can have confidence in them in the later rounds of this tournament, in the semifinals or the finals, because they'll feel comfortable out there on the floor. There's another traveling call
on Dante Hall.
But you have to almost put that one on Ingram. He's giving the ball to Dante Hall 17 feet from the basket, a place where Dante Hall's not as comfortable handling the ball.
Still to come, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, one of the favorites to win this tournament, certainly. Coming off that incredible run in the NCAA tournament, swatted out of the sky by Hall on a clean block.
I like what Dante Hall did right there. Remember on the board earlier in the game that Avery Johnson wants his guys to move on to the next play. He travels on one end and then he comes and recovers on the other end and makes a tremendous block.
Hall, a freshman out of Laverne, Alabama, and averaged 12 blocks a game his senior year. So Xavier to put it in. 5.5 left. They have 18 to shoot it.
Yeah, not only 12 blocks, he averaged a triple-double. 22 points and 18 rebounds to go with those 12 blocks.
Foul against Alabama. They'll get Arthur Edwards on the inbounds plays. He got tangled up with Davis. That'll be his 4th foul. Justin Coleman will return now for Avery Johnson.
Second time tonight that the Alabama Crimson Tide are sleeping on the defensive end. You can't have your head turn to the basketball. Edmund Sumner is too good of a passer and puts perfect touch and puts it in the perfect spot. And you obviously get the goaltending call. But the Crimson Tide must be much more alert on the defensive end.
58-37. Out of play off Xavier. With 5:17 to go. Also get a look at Iowa and Dayton a little bit later. And a very, very good tournament field. There are a number of teams that could win this thing.
I like the Fighting Irish, Zach August.
Edwards in heavy traffic. Hall kept it alive. but taken away by the Musketeers.
Monmouth will give them a very nice game. Remember, Monmouth has already gone on. King Rice, they've already gone on the road and won at UCLA earlier this year.
Yeah, this could be a fascinating tournament. Can't wait to see who comes down into the championship game on Sunday, which we will have for you. Somewhere beyond the three-point line. 7 seconds to shoot now. His jump shot off target. Rebound tapped out high, controlled by Alabama. Here comes Edwards. He's going 1-on-3 into the lane, and a traveling violation. He was out of control.
Yeah, had nowhere to go with the basketball. The numbers were not in his favor. Should have slowed it up, brought it back out, tried to run some offense, get the shot that you want.
For Coach Johnson and Alabama, what's the top 2 things they need to work on moving forward in this tournament?
Well, I think they have to just continue to establish their presence on the defensive end. That's kind of what got them the lead. They were active early and often in this game. They were rebounding the basketball. And then they have to find some type of flow on the offensive end and keep getting Shannon Hale involved. And then Retno Basahan, I know he got into foul trouble early, but he's going to need to assert himself if Alabama's going to be able to score some points.
Reynolds on a low block. What a beautiful move. That was sailing to the goal. He has 10. And for Alabama, a third thing, hit some threes. 4 for 24 beyond the three-point line today. All bottled up, and a shove to go against Xavier. A foul on the baseline. Xavier on top by a bunch, 60-37.
By AdvoCare, we build champions.
Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. They're into the semifinals. And look at this. Gonzaga's got a fight on their hands with Texas A&M. And still to come at 3:30, UConn and Syracuse. And all that rivalry says to you, particularly if you're a fan of the old Big East.
Well, Texas A&M, a very young and talented team, beat the Texas Longhorns, their in-state rival, last night by double figures. And they're giving the Zags all they can handle. Kyle Wilshire is the only one in double figures for Gonzaga in the first half.
Dante Hall at the line and can't hit the foul shot. The big freshman misfiring. Xavier about to go to 5-0. Alabama to fall to 2-2. And a turnover here with 3:51. The foul will go against Sean O'Mara. That'll be his second. Mentioned this earlier, Xavier with the big rivalry game coming up against Cincinnati on December 12th, but they also are at Villanova on New Year's Eve. They've got Butler coming up in conference play on January 2nd. So some tough games.
Well, we haven't mentioned the Big East is going to be a tough conference this year. Villanova, obviously a team that can contend for the Final Four. Jalen Brunson, one of the best point guards in the country, even though he's only a freshman.
Austin can't hit the jump shot.
Butler had a nice showing down in Puerto Rico. I know they lost in the finals to the Miami Hurricanes.
I saw a lot of Georgetown. They made it to the final of the 2K against Duke. Georgetown is big. They are talented.
Yeah, and their record is not indicative of what a good team they are going to be. Devontae Smith-Rivera, Jesse Govan.
Steal, but also a foul against Xavier. Here's how they got it done today.
Well, J.P. Macura was the difference in the first half. Comes off the bench. He averages 10 points a game. He knocks down the three-point shot. He gets in transition right here. He was the spark when the team was struggling on the offensive end, and there was a quick hitter off a baseline out of bounds play. 14 points for that young man, J.P. Macura.
So Coleman with another one coming. 3:06 to go here. Coleman with 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. 60-39. Next game coming up, Wichita State taking on USC.
Wichita State already with a loss on the season. They went to Tulsa, lost to a very experienced team there. Baker did have a big game in that one with 23 points.
Van Vliet unlikely to play because of a hamstring injury. Deep one from the corner off the side of the backboard. And a follow and a whistle. That'll go against Xavier. An offensive foul against Kaiser Gates.
And that was the right call. Kaiser Gates, he follows his own shot off the side of the backboard. goes in and thought he was going to try to dunk that basketball, but he extended that forearm out there.
Our player of the game brought to you by AdvoCare, and of course that will go to Macura, who came off the bench and lit it up. Three-pointer on target, but a rare one for Alabama today as Macura gets ready to return in the last couple of minutes.
Just 5 for 25 from behind the arc after hitting 15 for 25 in their last game against Louisiana Lafayette. But that's going to continue to be a staple for this team. Avery Johnson has confidence in his guys. Nice flash to the high post by Bluiett.
And Bluiett's had a nice one with 15 points.
Most of those coming in the second half.
Indeed. Chris Mack says he's as competitive as any player I have ever coached. The follow-away glances away by Coleman. Nice save by Bluiett. Xavier, despite the big lead, continues to play very hard, leading by 20.
See, I would almost like to see Justin Coleman, with his type of quickness, be a little bit more of a pest on the offensive end. More penetration, more kickouts. Try to get to the lane. Settles for almost too many threes.
O'Mara will draw the foul with 1:32 to go. Now, last year when Xavier played in New York, they went to Carmine's, famous Italian restaurant. They had a lot of leftovers, and they decided, as Jalen Reynolds took command of this, to give some of the leftovers away to homeless folks there on the streets of New York City on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they were going down into the subway stations, and they said a lot of the homeless people or the people that were in need down there were turning the food down because they thought it was a joke or a prank, or maybe they were going to be on video and, you know, be made fun of. And Jalen Reynolds just continued to go on to the next person to try to get them to accept the food, and
eventually everybody did. Yeah, they were able to give it all away.
And he was really the initiator of it all. He was the first one to stand up and say, I want to do it. What are we going to do with all this leftover food? Let's not let it go to waste.
Very classy gesture there. He's had a nice day on this Thanksgiving. Xavier rolling to a victory, 64-42 with about a minute to play. Coleman looking for help. And a whistle with 10 on the shot clock. Foul against the Musketeers and Larry Austin Jr. And it'll be number 2 on Larry. With 1:12 to go. And time for both of these teams to get in a suitable Thanksgiving meal right after this one. Getting that noon start. That's where it really pays off.
Yeah, for sure.
Now Coach Johnson with a lot on his mind. Has nothing to do with food.
Going to have to do a lot with basketball. A lot of probably some nice film session after this game.
A USC waiting to take the floor here in just a few moments against Wichita State. So we look forward to that. Miles and I will have the call of that game coming up in just a bit. Under 1 minute to go here. Xavier with an impressive second half for sure. They got off to a balky start. Didn't shoot it well. They're missing foul shots, which is very out of character for them. Turn over to Coleman, and Coleman will skip in for 2. But really came alive in the second half. 46 seconds before the end of this one in a timeout. Some highlights now from Feast Week. If you got to look at Kansas last night in the championship at Maui, you were impressed.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed. And Wayne Selden is finally living up to the expectations or the hype that he had coming in. He held them in that game in the first half. Perry Ellis was really struggling, but that guard trio of Graham, Mason, and Selden were tremendous last night. Vanderbilt's going to be a team to watch all season long. I watched most of the UConn game. They were very impressive in their win over Michigan. And that Michigan State team, we know what they've done. They beat Kansas already. Denzel Valentine had a triple-double that game. They're playing out there in Anaheim.
And Tom Izzo right on the doorstep of 500 wins. And we'll bring you game 2 here in just a bit. Wichita State and USC. Xavier about to celebrate a nice win over Alabama and improve to 5-0 on the season. They really got an outstanding effort out of their bench here this afternoon, didn't they?
Well, they really did. And this is a deep team, and it's something that Coach Mack is going to continue to rely upon all season long. Farr, Austin, Macura coming off the bench.
And McKinley London, freshman, with a really nice lift. And O'Mara came on and played well as well. Boston from the corner can't get it to go. Story of the day for Alabama from three-point land, but they were just dreadful. And Xavier wins this one easily in the end. 64-45 the final score. Chris Mack shaking hands with Avery Johnson. Alabama with a lot of work to do. Xavier's going very strongly in the other direction in this tournament. Now look at our bracket now. They are the first team to advance here in game number 1. Wichita State, USC about to come, then Notre Dame, Monmouth, then Iowa and Dayton.
Well, a great second half there by the Xavier Musketeers. They got back to playing their type of basketball, strong on the defensive end, and found their rhythm on the offensive end, especially with the three-point shot early in the half.
So our final score once again, the Musketeers 64, the Crimson Tide 45. First take retake will be followed by Wichita State against USC.